Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Showtime at the British. I'm Linton Garner, your MC for the evening. I'm here at the British Hotel in Aylmer, Quebec, where we'll be featuring the musical stylings of the Riot Police and another historical segment on the history of the British Hotel. So stay tuned. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sitting here in room 208 of the British Hotel. We're here to start a discussion about the historical significance of some of the rooms here. I'm here with Mr. Mike Clement. He's the proprietor, and he's going to give us a little bit about the background for each one of these rooms here in the hotel. Thanks, Mike, for being with us.
Welcome. So glad you're here. We are in the Prince of Wales suite, which is the corner of the Parker and Rue Principale, or what was the main street. It's a beautiful suite, has the balcony where Prince of Wales gave his address, speech to thousands of people on the street back in 1860.
Right, and he was here to do what?
Well, he laid the cornerstone at the Parliament buildings when they were building that pre-Confederate, and and came here, and it was the Conroy. It was Robert Conroy that built this building and his residence just down the way. But he addressed the public and made a formal speech and announced that this building shall be deemed the British Hotel. And so from 1860 on, it was the British Hotel.
And one of the distinctions is the Prince of Wales eventually became King Edward VII of England.
Correct. So we had the king in this room.
Right.
This is the room, and so we wanted to honor that. That was one of the things we wanted to do. And so the Prince of Wales suite is this one. We have all these other great rooms that represent a time in the history of the British.
Yeah, so this is the beginning of a series of conversations that you and I will have about the history of the particular rooms here, all right?
Right.
So what are some of the other rooms that, we're going to be seeing in the series?
Well, the great rooms are the top floor, which we respected Robert Conroy, who was the young lumber baron that built this place in 1838, and his wife, Madame McConnell, Mary McConnell, and then on the east side of the building is the Mondot family. The Mondot hardware store was on the courtyard side between here and the bank building. The British Cafe building. Right. So we have the Mondot, and then we have Charles Hupper, Prime Minister.
Right.
And then we have, of course, the Teresky suite, which is right next to us, which was the office of Joe Teresky for many years.
He was the owner for about 58 years here.
58 years he was the owner. We purchased it from Bernice back in 2011. And then we have the Darcy McGee room on the end by the staircase. It was the staircase that apparently the assassins had escaped through that stairway, so we put that room in the back as the Darcy McGee. And then Sir Johnny MacDonald right next to us is a beautiful suite.
Right.
We have Ayotte, Madame Ayotte, who lived in this building for 42 years.
Oh, my.
And she moved out when she was 92, so we have a small suite on this side for her. And then, the big Joe Montferrand, which is famous in the region, the largest lumber baron, or not baron, but worker, apparently was 7'2", and he had feet like this. And so those are the we honor, and we're trying to getting the history going with each room and getting the flair. And so we're starting in this beautiful room. This has a beautiful fireplace, which I guess in the old days these were meeting rooms, because apparently one of these rooms at the time was turned into a municipal area for municipal meetings. So the first municipal meetings were on this floor.
Right,
and
back
the fireplace,
in 1847, the first municipal council, something like that?
Yeah, there's a plaque outside,
right.
I think 1847. And so the fireplace was what kept this area, quite warm.
Yeah, much like we've seen in previous episodes where we sat around the fire where Johnny MacDonald sat and maybe other prime ministers. You mentioned also there was Charles Tupper who had stayed here, and there's a room sort of dedicated to him as well.
Right.
Here. Now, what we've been doing here is just taking a little visit, a little check-in with you. We're going to check in with you in future episodes, so stay tuned through future episodes of more history about the British Hotel.
you'll need to boost the tone, yeah. The drums are on a loop, and they're trying to speak to you. Welcome to our show now. We're gonna play this slow, yeah. The winds were blowing up, the sun was setting. When the end has come, maybe we'll watch it from our window. The winds were blowing up, the sun was setting. When the end has come, maybe we'll watch it from our window. When San Francisco's falling down, all the buildings in our town, the cops are on their way now. It's time for us to take cover, band together through it all. Wait for all that we live for. Welcome to our show now. We're gonna play this slow, yeah. The sun was setting. And that's coming, you watch it from our window. The winds were blowing up, the sun was setting. And that's coming, you watch it from our window. We're coming down to the junction. This ain't that fork in the road. Go back and plead for resignation. Take a lesson, so I got numbers its face. Well, that's a minute of the first of the states. The light, the setting sun, and eventually fades. Cast a shadow over the message we made. I was a sailor, ran away from the sea. The lonely beast inside the almost on me. It puts my power to bottles, but you can slip to be. I wish some ways you just came with me back and set me free. Oh, many given night, nobody wonder why. If I'm not around on Sunday, then I'll probably die. It puts my faith in the truth, to choose the pain to survive. But now that I'm waking up, you've hit me burning alive. I light the fires in your heart. Be the vessel that you see it from the start. You need no answer, need no excuse. And the good times will be your news. I will be your news. I was waiting, Danny Castle relay. The tricks at the front of me with an empty plate. Chorus of Johnson, throw it to you. The top I really saw. Next my soul, you was fuck with a let her go. Oh, man, you never not and probably wonder why. If a matter wrong Sunday, man, I'll probably die. She wears my heart like a nose, uses it as a tie. I said, oh, on you, but you can care less to die. I like fires in your heart. I will be your news. No need for a reason, no otherwise. Every night, I don't even think I would ever fight. No, 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 no. No, no, no. Danny Ransom should that numbers his face. Well, that's around where the rose-colored shades. Like the setting sun and eventually fades. Cast a shadow over the mess that we made. I like fires in your heart. Feel the vessel that you can see the road start. You need no name for a need no excuse. And the good times will be your news. I will be your news. I will be your news. I will be your
Hi, I'm Stephany Crowley with two members of the Riot Police, an indie rock band here from the region that are getting a growing following. This is Alex Boyd and Taylor Harris. Alex, you started in music really young, 12, 13 years old. Tell us how that happened.
Yeah, so my dad grew up in the Ottawa area as well. He eventually opened his own record store. So I always grew up around music, and then from a young age he put me in piano lessons, and then drum lessons, and then guitar lessons, and then bass guitar lessons, and then I eventually joined a boys choir. So I've been all over the place musically, but eventually I started at this like sort of music school, somewhere in between School of Rock and not School of Rock at all whatsoever, because it wasn't like every day at school. But from there, you're a teacher depending, and I was taking bass at the time. They set people up in different bands with other musicians who are in the school, and that's how this band started 12 years ago now, yeah.
Wow. So you have 3 albums already. Tell us about those.
Yeah, so they're called Those Days, The Crossing, and Movement. Movement we actually just released in 2018 in March. That was a lot of fun to work on. But most recently we've actually been working on the next one as well. So we're stoked for that.
Neat. Now, Taylor, you're the drummer for the band. Has the music changed, evolved over time?
Yeah, the music's changed quite a bit. From the first record, I only played on about half that record because they had a drummer before me. But so when I got hired on, the music, like Alex was like 14 at the time. I was like 18 or so. So it's kind of weird. But so he was able to hit these like crazy high notes because, I mean, he was, puberty and stuff. It's a thing. But he was in a boys choir. And so, I mean, the music's changed a little bit. But at the same time, there's still a continuity between all the records. And we still play songs from the first record at our shows. And we still play our brand new songs that aren't even released yet.
So now you have a new release coming out, or has just come out, Ladder?
Yeah, actually both. So thank you for mentioning it, because we should plug both. The last release was in August 30th, actually. It's called Ladder, available on all your streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. And it's actually just been recently sent to rock radio across the country. So if you have a favorite I'm having a night. If you have a favorite local radio station, you can send it to them and request it, and they just might be able to put it on for you.
Woo! I'll do it again.
Yeah.
So now talk about your lyrics a little bit, because you really have some powerful messages in your lyrics, a little bit political, a little bit current events. Where does that come from?
Well, I grew up listening to a lot of bands and artists who are like that, like Bob Dylan, Neil Young, those kinds of guys, John Lennon, Paul McCartney. I was a big Beatles fan growing up, and I always found that it was like their music was very happy-go-lucky, but in a way, like if you really listen, especially the later stuff, Mind You, and John Lennon's solo stuff, but there's always a message there, and it's just not. It's not all love songs and that, and I have no problem writing a love song, but I'm a lot more interested in the negative aspects of our world, and seeing how maybe if I can make a difference with myself with my music, maybe someone else will feel the same way that I do. So that's what I go for.
So now you've played a lot of festivals, rock fests, and so on. Tell us some of the people you've played with, some pretty big bands. And where?
Well, we played with Tom Petty at Blues Fest. Well, not with Tom Petty. Whoa. I got to reel that back in. We played the same day as Tom Petty at Ottawa's Blues Fest. And we played there twice, actually. Another year we opened for AWOL Nation. We've played a number of festivals in Toronto with some pretty big acts, a couple big shows in Montreal as well. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far.
So what's next for you guys? You have another song that you're working on for release next year?
Yeah, we're working on a song called Get Up. We've just come out of the studio working on some details afterwards, and it should be released in the coming year, somewhere near the start. Hopefully January we're shooting for.
Yeah, late January, mid-February maybe.
Well, that's great. Well, thanks for being here. We
Thanks for having
encourage you
us.
to check them out on all the platforms, I imagine.
Yep, everywhere, and you can actually pick up our latest CD and album, Movement, that came out last March at any record shop. You can just order it right there.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it. Stay tuned for more of the Riot Police on Showtime at the British.
high, down so low. I'll walk this path all of my own. Go straight into the storm. There was nothing left, oh, nothing goes. High in my head, bury me into the sand. Raise up to the sky and see. There ain't no place you'll find me. Can't figure out why I'm down inside. Oh, where I'll get to the top. Can't figure out why I'm down inside. Oh, where I'll get to the top. No, I won't crack from the things that I lack. We're still looking up, but won't ever look back. It's up to the sky. Now that I see this place is where you were. Can't figure out why I'm climbing this ladder, but I'll know where I'll get to the top. Can't figure out why I'm climbing this ladder, but I'll know where I'll get to the top. Can't figure out why I'm climbing this ladder, but I'll know where I'll get to the top. Plumb higher up where they can't see nothing but the cold air against me. Climbing out with all that I live for, blood rushing out for the thrill now. My heart is beating, push back the feeling. I can see the end now. I'm reaching to the top. I got all the feeling. I won't look down from you. Catch me running from the sunset down the lane. me all wrapped so tight, and we'll fight on, we'll fight on, we'll fight on through. We'll fight on for you. Get up, get up and get it. You know that it's our will. Wash away all the sin. Till we get up and get it. Don't run away from your fate. You'll find the way to face the day and flush it down to the ground and watch the clock run at half pace. Catching up from the start and shining out through the dark. Fade away. You'll find a way to live our life in many ways. We'll fight on. We'll fight on through. We'll fight on, that's what we'll do. Fight on, that's what we'll do. We'll fight on, we'll fight for you. Get up and get it. You know that it's on the way. Wash away all of the sin. Get up and get it. Get up and get it. It's coming to an end. And you think the devil never wins. So get up and get it.
I want to thank you for being here with us tonight. Thank you to the Riot Police. I want you to join us right here at the British Hotel for Showtime at the British.